Hello and welcome to Plan to Paint today. If you notice, I've changed things around a little bit here. I've changed the camera angle. One of the things I noticed that as I was painting, I was pretty much blocking a large portion of the canvas. And the other thing I noticed is I don't really talk to the camera much, so I'm going to try to remedy that some. And we'll see how this new position, new camera angle works out as we go forward. Today we're going to paint another snow scene, very similar to the one we painted a couple of days ago in our last session. But this time we're going to use only 3 different paints. We've got our titanium white, our phthalo turquoise this time, and lamp black. And I don't know if you remember last time, if you watched along, and if not, you can go catch the video. But I ended up covering the entire canvas. I was doing the snow scene, but I covered the entire canvas in color. And so then I had to lay snow on top. It made my paints kind of thick and muddied it up a little bit. So today, I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to try to keep my sky positioned just where I want it to be visible. And we're going to do another lazy river. I think this time we're going to bring it this side and come out this way. Just so that it's a similar but different composition than the painting the other day. And then I also had some issues in the mid-range here where my values were a little too light, and so it kind of feels out of place a little bit. It's not overall not a bad painting, but it just had some issues. We're going to try to work through those today. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to put a little bit of a gray-blue sky. So I'm going to bring down a little bit of the lamp black. And I'm going to work in just a touch of the phthalo blue. I don't want it to be a real vibrant blue sky. It's going to be a snowy, overcast, cloudy day. And so we're really just going to work in some clouds right into this the sky and let the blending as we blend our clouds out kind of gray the rest of the sky around us. So we're just going to have some floating clouds. This might have cut in a little bit dark, but we'll lighten as we work it down into the surface of the canvas. And you can shape them however you would prefer in your painting. You know, big fluffy clouds, darker. I don't like how flat this one is here. Maybe we'll a little more definition in there. You'll see as we blend this around lightly that it's going to darken the sky quite a bit. Notice we're kind of primarily using one corner of our brush. And things happening out in there. And we're just making little slight swirls with the corner of that brush. There's something happening here. And as we work longer with the same, not picking up new paint, you'll see that they get fainter and fainter. Further in the distance, kind of washing out a little bit. Now that I have this little bit lighter color, I'm going to go ahead and fill in all between these existing clouds, and we're going to take some white and add some definition to the tops of these clouds, work our way back the other direction. A little craziness going on up in there, making these little swirly clouds. And then I'm just actually going to come across real lightly, just kind of blend some of this in. And then we're going to go back in a little bit more black, kind of define some of the bottoms a little more. I'm actually going to pick up some of this liquid white now, and a little bit of titanium white too. I want this to stand out a little bit more. And one of the things I've lose a little bit because of the arrangement is that I can no longer see what the view looks like from your perspective. And so I just kind of gotta guess what I'm going on here. So we're gonna clean off some of that paint. We're gonna very lightly fluff our clouds. And hopefully as we learn to do more and more of these clouds, we start to appreciate and develop a better sense of better representation of clouds in the sky. I'm going to take a dry brush and a dry soft brush. One of these angled brushes tend to be a little bit softer for us here. We're just going to lightly kind of go across. And this helps set everything into the same scene here. There we are. So nice thick clouds, pretty dark on the bottoms. Gray blue overcast day. So I'm pretty happy with where that stands. So now we're going to bring down some lamp black. Just a little bit of the turquoise blue. These mountains are a little bit further away, so we are going to bring in a little bit of our liquid white here. Just lighten this value a little bit here. And this is where practice really will, experience and practice will really help all of us improve, including myself. The layering of values to generate depth. It's always difficult for me to first determine what value I should start with for my furthest mountains. I'll give this one a little more character here. So that as I come forward in the scene, I can layer my values properly to get a proper indication of depth. I'm going to try to not make as many mountains today that get covered up as what we did in the last session. I'm all very guilty of dropping trees right over top of my mountains and covering up the beautiful work we did in the back. And I think we'll keep that as our back set of mountains, and we'll put one set over top of them here in a minute. So we'll just grab and pull. Grab and pull. This one's got a longer face, a little bit back here that's going the other direction. Got a long face. I got some back in here. Pull these down. A little bit there. I think we're going to have this one overlap that one. And pull this one down this way. This one's going to overlap all of that. And try to keep that blending pretty close to the top up here. And these are going to have some snow on them, obviously. We're doing some snow seams, and the mountains themselves are no exception. Just going to bring down some titanium white. And if you draw it down, you cut it across, and get you a nice little roll of paint. And just ever so lightly roll down the hill. And you see you got a gap, you just go back and get some more paint, fill it in. And a little liquid white in there. Might help roll off your knife a little better, stick to the mountains. And cut across. A little bit of touch back in here. A little bit back in here. This little peak hiding back in here. We got a bigger one right there. Just gonna bring this right on down. And you want to leave a little bit of a little darker value showing through. Kind of builds up. Layer it on too thick here. This one's going to come around here half peak. Kind of sticking right out in the front here. I got a little bit going on back in here. I'm going to clean that off. We're going to bring a little bit of our phthalo blue and a little bit of black into this. This nice bold blue. And we actually won't even bring any black in. We'll just leave it this nice blue. This is going to be our shadow value for the part of the mountain that's not right in the direct sunlight. And we're just going to a little bit back in here. This peak here just kind of comes down. In here. And I really like these snow scenes. You can really limit your palette because the snow makes up the majority of your scene. And so with some blues, or you can even do it with just a crimson. I'll add a little bit down here though. I think this will get covered up. And really put together a very nice scene with just a few little paints. We're actually going to do the same thing. We're going to grab and pull. And this is because we want this to be a little bit misty back in here. And you can tap even just to kind of blend it up a little bit, give it a little bit of a broken edges. Adds to the misty effect. Yep, so that I told you that would get covered up there. And just very lightly kind of blend it in with the rest of the painting. Off to this side, we're going to have a nice, bring down a little more black into this mixture we were using for our land mountains. I want it to be a little bit darker, it's a little bit closer to us. So you can see what I'm doing here, mixing this and cut across. We're going to have an even bigger one here. Not much bigger because we still want it to be far away. And it's just going to come right across this one. And just a little bit lower than this one, not much. Maybe another peak right here coming. Just to break it up a little bit, we don't want such a long, seemingly long face there. Come on, darken this edge up. There we are. This one comes back. Put this way. And we're going to bring this one down this way. And one right here. She's going to come and intersect this one. Getting a little bit too much paint build up here, so I'm going to cut some of that off here. Scrape it off. Add it into the body of my mountain. And this one's going to swoop a little bit down. I think I got enough paint here. I can just kind of clean up some of this here. Get a little more paint on there just to go ahead and bring this down to the same general depth. We're going to take our brush up there and we're going to pull those down also. So we're going to start back in our back here. We're going to pull this down. Grab this one and pull this one down. I want this one to come over top of this one, so we're just going to play around with that a little bit. And this one's going to come across here. A little bit back in here. And this one here. I think we're still going to have to put some white on top, but just to kind of define our hillside over here. But I think ultimately we'll be in better shape than we were the other day by having so much of our snow left. So let's take our titanium white, bring a little of our liquidier white here, and we're just going to mix that together a little bit. We've already determined where our light source is by putting the snow on the right side of these mountains, the earlier set of mountains, so we got to do the same on this set. We'll start with our one in the back and we'll just kind of come down. And takes a very deft touch, and I'm still learning this technique here. It's always impressive to watch someone that's been doing this for literally decades, like Bob Ross himself. How it just flows right off of his knife, just ever so easily. It's like one day, one day. And that's why we keep practicing, keep painting. So I'm just going to wrap around a little bit this way. And I want this to stay pretty snowy all the way down here. So as you get too much gray mixing in with your white snow, you're going to want to clean off your knife and pick up some nice clean white snow again, and this one's just going to come back. We're just going to let it flow right off the knife. This one's going to fall this way. Not much of this one's going to be mostly face here. Yeah, get my hand in it. Need a little bit thicker handle on my knife, I think, would help. We're going to come back and bring that face further around. But first we're going to add a little more of our blue to our shadow. Let this be very blue, I think. And just write it down with just a little bit on the top there. Write it on down. Right down with the flow of your land. So I'm certainly no Bob Ross or Bill Alexander. I've got some of their source materials to work from. As I practice, I don't like to use those as part of these videos because that was their work and they don't want to get into any copyright issues. So these are all my own original compositions. And I just kind of let them flow off my mind sometimes. Sometimes I actually take time, I get some thumbnails done. Some of these compositions I predetermine, but mostly I'm just kind of laying it out as we go here. Alright, let's pick up some of that white. We're going to bring this face right on down in front of this. It's just going to come all the way down. Alright, so we're going to take our brush, we're going to pull this down. And it'll go in that direction. I think we're just gonna let this come right over top. Pull that down too. Take the edge of this, we're just gonna where our mist ends. Don't want those little brush strokes laying up there. They stand up a little bit like a Thor's thumb. Just gonna break up that edge where we go from stark edges to a misty edge. Alright, so we need some rolling hills here of trees. Kind of coming down this way, another one is going to come down this way. Cut across. Our lazy river is going to come in, so we can go ahead and lay that in actually, just so we know where we're going to be. And what we're going to do is just take this turquoise itself, just straight turquoise. And we're just going to lay this river. It's going to come in from the side over here. And we're going to cut back somewhere in here, let it come back around. And I'm just kind of back and forth, but I'm flipping my brush in and out with this little, curvature as it's coming towards us here. And you have to turn the brush onto the side so you're getting a little bit narrower here. So. I want it to be a little bit darker on this side edge here, where we're coming in from. I want it to be lightest in the center. Add a little bit more to that, just a little bit. And as you can see, it kind of gives a little bit of a definition to where this is going and where it's coming from. Don't really like that. That's a little better. Don't really want to get a bunch of straight lines. You want a lot of natural looking flowing curves and lines in your painting. If it's too straight, it stands out. It just pulls the eye to it and destroys the realism that you're trying for in your scenes. I gotta watch the number of brushes I'm using here so that I don't run out. It is the downside to not using the solvents to clean the brushes as you go, is that you end up with some issues. Just gonna pull these straight up. And make sure you keep going back for more paint. You don't want these to get too light as you're mixed in out here. We'll tap in a little bit here, just gonna come down. A little darker as we get closer to us. We're gonna start putting in some pines, but more of that blue. These top rows got some pines happening out here. Gotta make sure that we keep. Oh, I'll lose my blue. Why don't you want to stick up there? Turquoise decided it wanted to jump off my palette board here. Alright, so we're getting some land flowing here. Then we're going to bring out a little bit of our white. We're going to put some white in here, a little titanium white. And I'm going to lay a little bit of snow on top here. As it's coming down the hillside. The reason I use the palette knife is that it lays it on top with a little less blending. I'll go over it with a brush to really bring it home, but getting that first initial layer of white out there, I want to just use the palette knife to get it on top. This one's a little less so. We're going to bring this one down this way. It always amazes me how much the angle for your brush strokes and your knife can really impact what the overall feel of the land is here. Yep, kind of dirtied up some brushes here. Clean this one off a little bit. Okay, this one looks like it's probably the least corrupted brush. We're just gonna pull that down right to the shore. Try not to pick up much of the blue off of the water. This just kind of runs down. This one's running the other way. Clean that off as much as we can. We'll lightly go, just kind of blend this out. We don't want too many of those strokes, just very lightly. Just kind of letting that drift. A few drifts out there, build up here and there, but mostly we just want no strokes showing here. Get the feel of the, yeah. Too much pressure, too much pressure. When you see you're leaving too many strokes, leave off the pressure. Alright. We don't want nothing living out there, so we're going to take our small fan brush and pick up our brushes we just knocked on the floor. And we're going to take down some black and some of the blue here. Let's see what color we have. That'll be pretty. I'm going to start putting some trees out in here. Keep adding some black and some blues to this turquoise so that we can can't make out exact detail on these ones. They're pretty far in the distance. And we're just gonna back and forth. Kind of at an angle. I'm going back into the darker here. Get a few living on this tree hillside over here. I may need to add a little bit of oil or liquid white in. Help it to stick better. See, I darkened it up a bit, so I'm trying to touch these up with a little bit of a darker value. Pushed it too dark for these ones in the back. And this is what I ran into today, is that I had values that were too light sitting out here in the middle of the painting. And that caused its own set of issues. Yep, watch those brush strokes. Maybe one here, a pair. He needs a little more structure there. I'm going to go add a third one to that set, just to keep things a little bit varied. And with a separate little brush, I'm just going to use a filbert because I don't have a lot of extra fan brushes here. I'm going to pick up some liquid white, work it into the bristles pretty well. Load it up good, and we're just going to add some touches of snow. And don't forget to leave your darks. That'll help keep the structure in place for your. Yeah, this one's pretty much destroyed. To go back over that with my fan brush and re-give the structure. Wow, you just don't want to stick to the brush. heck was that, Jim? Oh well. Happy little accidents, as Bob would say. If only they actually made you happy. That would be something. Usually they just disgust me. Really? Did I really just do that? Oh well. But the nice thing about this style of painting is it's really easy to go back and correct your mistakes. Getting built up on there. Stay on the edge of the brush here. Alright, like I said, I gotta go back in and touch these up a little bit here, fix them. So they're missing their structure. Adding that little bit of dark on the bottoms of the branches redefines them. You can take a small dry brush and you can actually pull a little bit of this color down. And just blend it away. Kind of makes them stand out. That they're sitting on, they're not just floating out there on the snow. That one's getting pulled away too far, probably. And this flows down this way. Sometimes it's really easy to get too carried away with this. I hope this new angle is helping out so that you can see more of what I'm doing. So we get some little drifts kind of building up and working their way out from these trees that are blocking the snow from continuing to flow. And pull these down as well. And very gently. And very quickly you end up with a separate hill right there. I'm just going to bring this one on down. I think we'll do the same thing. We're going to connect these two together here and make another hill here. as I blend it more, it tends to blend out. Muddy that one up so that we don't see exactly where that one ends. This is a little bit too dark in here, so let's try to blend some of this out. I think the other thing I noticed when I was watching the last one back is that my voice isn't always loud enough. It's not always picked up by the mic as well as it should, as I think it should be, or at least I expected it to be. And so if you notice, we got a little bit of the blue picked up in here, so I'm just going to actually put a tree there. Just a small one. I'm taking, just kind of blend it out. Bother with some snow on this one? Probably should. It is a snow scene after all. Alright. Now we're going to do this far bank and kind of set the bank in here. We're still just using some black and some blue. And we're just going to bring this We're going to add some varying bits of white over top of this for some highlights. We'll lighten this up so that it's pretty easy to tell that the bank is smaller back in here as it got a little further away. But we start to transition the other way here, and now we're seeing a bit more of that bank as it gets closer to us. So there's a little bit of a transition here that's probably not going to show the best. It just comes around here. And we're going to add a little more black in here, especially as it comes back here, and we're right out front here. So we've got this very, very dark bank. And we're going to see a little bit of the bank over here as it's kind of turned over. Bit much paint out there. Instead of that, we're going to put a much lighter blue-gray for highlights along there. And so we're just going to kind of tap in some little highlights on there. Bits of snow catching along that bank. Breaks it up. You can see where the water's kind of worked on the edges a little bit. I haven't even made the water magic happen yet. As we get closer, we're going to have a little bit more obvious snow, so we're going to add in some more white to it. And it looks really muddy right now, but I think we'll work well to serve our purposes here. So we're going to clean our knife off. We're going to go in with our dry brush, and we're just going to pull down. Just grab a little bit of that color and you pull it down. And do the same thing here, and just pull straight down. So you only dip back in where you can reach the brush. And the length that you pull it down makes a bit of a difference. The further away you are, the shorter the reflection might be, or the longer the reflection might be. Fortunately, I don't know off the top of my head what the direction really should be. But as Bob says, hey, when you pick up that brush, you're granted an artistic license. So if it's not 100% matching of reality, that is okay. Pull those down. Clean that brush off a little bit. And ever so lightly, just come across. And take the time to get the detail just how you'd like it. Like I said the last time, this isn't about painting realistic water, it's about painting the feel of water. When somebody looks at this, they feel that it's watery. Alright. So now we do want to we're going to take a clean brush, our last clean dry brush, which means the next ones we're going to have to make some decisions on. We're going to strengthen this edge here. And it's going to come out, and it's going to roll up over our edge. Whoa, we just picked up a lot of that rock here. We don't really want that there. Just to blend that out the best we can. Gotta be careful with those brush strokes. But it's okay, because we're going to be able to fix that as well. Just going to take this, I'm going to brush it out. Cleaning it off. All I'm doing here is just using a fan brush and just kind of lightly blending this out here. We're picking way too much up, but it's okay. We will redefine that in a minute. And you'll understand why it's not going to be a big issue. I do want to take this and kind of join this together here as we come around our edge. And if something doesn't go right, you have the ability to just paint over it. Alright, so we're going to get some white on here. And I'm just going to tap on these edges where the snow meets the bank. I'm just going to drag this down. And just kind of cleaning up our edges a little bit here, our bank. How it falls into the water. Even right here. Alright, so we need something more interesting to look at in the front here. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to take this brush and clean it off pretty good. I want to lightly kind of blend what's going on out here. And we're just making little really light crisscross strokes. Move out some of those brush strokes that are standing out a little too much for my taste. If you've got too much texture, it starts to lose the feel of snow. So if you see you've got too much texture going on in your painting, it's best to take the moment and correct it. Because that's what I feel is going on here. There's just too much texture. And don't do that. What I did is I picked up some of my rock paint and pour it right up in there, so I gotta clean the brush off, lift it up out of there. I'll tell you what, when you've been doing this for decades, which I have not, but some of the professionals using this method they make everything look so easy. They just don't really have mistakes when they're painting. Well, no, they just know how to fix them without pointing out attention to it. So what we're going to do is take our big, I just want some more pines in here. And so we're going to take a lot of the black and the blue, bring that down to a nice dark mixture. We want to get some oil on this brush. I want this to be fairly runny. We're just going to pop one right here. Maybe make him a little bit wider on the base here. And keep bringing that blue and the black in together. We want to keep this very dark. We could use a little friend here. A whole lot taller, just a little bit. When you see you're getting too muddied out and you can't make doesn't distinguish from the background, it's best to go pick up more paint. Yep. And at best, if you have the opportunities, clean your brush off in between each of these. And you've got a short one. He's going to live not necessarily short, but closer to the viewer here. One that he didn't grow quite so straight. And he's got a little friend help holding him up. Alright, so what we're going to do now is take a little liner brush. I'm just going to use some more or less straight black. I'm going to give some indications of some trunks in here. I'm trying to connect these branches together. They have to be attached to something, right? So when I'm floating out there, it looks a little odd. If there's not at least a center support holding it all together. With this new setup, I'm not able to actually see the computer at the time, so if you are leaving me comments and I'm not able to respond to them, I apologize for that, but in some ways I was spending too much time looking at the computer screen, mainly to get a view of what it looked like from your perspective versus me standing right at the canvas. But I thought that was a little bit annoying that I kept looking at the camera. I mean, looking at the computer instead of the camera. So I decided to eliminate that distraction as well and move it where I can't see it. Alright, now these trees, they need some snow. So what we're going to do is get some oil on our paintbrush here and go into this liquidy white. I'm going to really get it built up on the bristles pretty well. Looks like I got a hunk in there that's not coming off. And we're going to start with which one's in the back here. So we're going to say this one's in the back. We're just going to dab on some snow. And I got to clean the brush in between. This is where you're going to have to clean the brush pretty well. I'll set my palette down a minute here so that I can actually clean the brush well. If my hand hadn't fallen asleep, that would be a little easier, but what we're going to do is we're going to put the brush between the paper towel. We folded our paper towel over. We're going to pinch it and we're going to pull, lightly pull. You don't want to pinch real hard because you don't want to pull the bristles out of your brush. But what that's going to do is pull most of your dark paint off. You want to get that black paint out of there. You want your snow to be light and fluffy and white. So, I'm going to have to do this step in between each tree to help keep that snow sparkling. See how much cleaner that snow appears up here now? If I had not done that, this would have all turned a muddy gray. And you can use both sides of your brush. And that got very muddy in there, so I'm going to clean it off. I'm going to try to touch up a little bit in there. Maybe I'll just go back with the darker brush here. So we lost the appearance of the overlapping limbs here. Yeah, that's a little better. Alright, go back, set my palette back down. I'm actually toying with the idea of having the palette set down and just working off of it down here instead of holding it the whole time, but haven't tried it yet, so I didn't want to do it in this video. The way I hold it, and it sits on my arm here, it tends to make my hand go to sleep, which is probably not the healthiest. So I could either try a smaller board or a stationary board, which by picking up a little bit more oil, you can actually thin some of that pigment down off of your brush bristles before you go back into the white. You can try it here. I'll just leave the board sit here. It's not so bad. It does work very much a lot better than the other day when I was not cleaning the brush in between. I was having a lot of trouble and having to bring down more white constantly because it made it very muddy. And when your paper towel gets saturated, you just fold it over again. You've got a nice clean surface to work on again. And I find painting this way is just very relaxing. I mean, when you're not having problems, and very freeing as you get to just let this world flow right out of your imagination. I'm going to have to clean that one off. Right onto the canvas. It's amazing how quickly you can make a nice world come together. A world that you can share with others. It really is a joy, and it really is like magic. Which is why Bill Alexander and Bob Ross used those as the titles of their shows. There's a lot of truth into those. Titled well, but when all the good titles are gone, what do you do? So, figure them out. People plan to paint along. Plan to paint. Sounds like a reasonable name to me. So if you like this video and you enjoy painting along, be sure to subscribe so that you'll be notified of new videos. Currently streaming at 6:30 a.m. on Wednesdays, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays and Fridays. So if you are free at those times and want to paint along while I'm doing it live, be sure to hop on. If you have any particular things you'd like to see painted, types of scenes, I'm going to be doing some farm scenes here. I live nearby some farms, and I grew up on a farm myself, and I like to see the patchwork, the layout of the fields after they're harvested, the rows really showing, or even a nicely freshly plowed field. Alright, so we need to go in here and I'm just going to use the same fan brush I was using for the pines. I'm going to clean it up well by getting a lot more oil on here. Let's get those pigment pulled off of there as much as I can. Having the oil on the brush is going to help it move the paint rather than lift the paint here. And we're just going to pull down some of this. And we're just going to, wow, getting out there. So we're just going to pull this down. And you got to keep it level. This is where brush control, as you do this more and more than I've done it so far obviously, can really, will really help as you do this more and more. What I'm going to do actually in here, because this pulled out heavier than I wanted, just kind of pull this down. So this pine tree's kind of sitting on its own little hill over here. I'm going to go back in with some white here and I'm going to blend in. Just pull that color down. There's a little bit of a hill coming here where the pine sits. A little bit of the shadows underneath there. Just kind of blend it all in. And clean the brush off. And usually the bigger the brush, the more bristles you have, the lighter touch it's going to have on the canvas because it's spreading that pressure you applied. over a larger area. And if you do, I'm just going to kind of blend this. Let that be its own little hill. We're going to have to go back in and fix up some of this. You'll have that occasionally on a painting, especially snow paintings, because you're trying to keep that pristine snow. And it's so easy to muddy it up. So easy to muddy it up. Go ahead and blend this out here. And as we saw in the last one, it's quite possible to go back in and add more snow, lighten it up here. And so sometimes to do that, again, you just take your white paint, and we're just going to lay it back on there. This does immediately lightens it up here. And you have snow again. It's good if your paper towels don't have a lot of other colors on them. When you go to clean off your brush, you end up picking up other colors, and that's not helpful. Overall, though, I would say I've kind of messed this one up. It's a little bit too muddy. Maybe the snow's starting to melt here. Starting to let some of that ground show through. Alright. So we'll go back in with our palette knife and we're going to clean up a little bit of this by adding in some strengthening our banks again. And this might clean up when we put in our waterline. Expecting it to, but I'm not going to make any promises at this point. And you can keep working it. Maybe adding a little bit of blue. Help lighten up our... At this point I'm just going to start playing a little bit here. Alright, this is in the way over here. So better that I hold on to it for the moment. But by bringing this blue into the picture here, I think we're going to add back in some of the cold feel. And sometimes you just have to improvise and go with what feels right. By adding in the blue, we're taking something that was detracting from the painting and adding in something that makes it a lot more interesting to look at. And becomes something that was not intentional and turns it into something now intentional. I'm going to take that blending brush again. And just ever so slightly, just kind of blend some of this out. Take out some of those brush strokes. My blending brush is just a really soft bristled brush. And it breaks up the edges. Sometimes when I get painting like this, I just lose track of time. That's another thing that I don't have. With the computer moved, I don't really know what time it's getting to be. So hopefully I'm not cutting into your rest of your day too much. That's not good. Not careful, I'm going to mess up the painting from the other day. But as you can see the one beside me still, we used the same essential design elements to create a whole new piece. And just lifting a little bit of paint here, cleaning off our brush in between, and blending out the strokes. Try not to pick up much paint off the canvas, but just kind of move it around into a more blended finish. If I'd done this right in the first place, we would have saved the time here. This is why Bob Ross can do this in 20 minutes and it takes me an hour and a half sometimes. Of course, he's already painted his paintings off camera before he does the camera version, and I haven't done that. I might do that a few times and see how I like the difference. Sometimes I just like the raw flow of how the painting comes together. Other times I look back and I'm like, wow, I think I probably just wasted some people's time, and they may not be happy about that. At the end of the day, what you're giving me is your time, and it's not right for me to mishandle that. So I apologize if you feel that this has wasted some of your time today, and that your painting isn't a success due to my poor direction here today. Alright, let me step back a minute. I definitely don't like that that was good. Don't like that I brought the blue into this. I like that I brought the blue in versus just the gray. I don't like that I got the gray so muddied in here that I felt it was necessary to add the blue in. Instead of being white snow, we've got blue snow. And some people may prefer that, but I'd rather see the white snow. It also messes with the distance a little bit. But let's go ahead and finish putting our water line in. Take the lessons we learned from this one forward with us when we go on to our future paintings. So take some white here. I'm just going to cut in a water line. Oops, that's a bit much there, Jim. And try to keep this straight across as much as you can. It doesn't need to be razor thin, because this is where stuff collects along the bank from the water flowing along. And so there's a little bit of sometimes there's more stuff caught there than not. A lot of times around these corners that water line kind of peeks out a little bit past the land. So if you feel I'm wasting your time, please let me know in the comments how I can improve, what you would like to see, how much more you'd like me to talk to the camera, whether it's first having a separate camera with a smaller view that's kind of looking from that angle so I can talk into it while I'm painting, versus having to stop to talk to the camera here. I'm still trying to improve this as I go. It's a learning process as much as the art is as well. Just learning to paint. And this style is a challenge all its own, but learning to video, stream, talk to the audience, camera, talk to you, that's a whole nother can of worms. It's a whole nother learning exercise. Put this down actually. I think we will. Clean this brush off. And I'm going to try come across this here. Yeah, I think we're going to stop there. A little bit of a disaster today as well. Again, this would be why it would be useful to paint ahead. But we did manage to put together a bit of a snow scene with just the 3 different paints, using white, black, and our turquoise to bring in some blue and cold. And hope you enjoyed painting along today. Please hit that like button if you did. If you didn't, well, I'm sorry for wasting your time. But please subscribe if you want to continue on with me, and we'll be streaming again next Wednesday, so don't miss it. Have yourself a wonderful time, and until then, don't be too hard on yourself. Just keep painting. Bye-bye.